Hello, David.
Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, sir. Forgive
Joe
me.
Kinman. Joe Kinman's online too.
Right. Hi, Joe.
Joe is an interesting character. His family comes from Carrollton, so they actually have a street named after him, or named
That's cool.
named after him, after his family. Kinman Lane, right, Joe? And how's life treating you, Richard?
Hectic, but fine. How about you?
Well, we're just fixing our house and have a new roof installed. So it's a chore.
That
That's
is
a problem.
a chore. That is a chore.
They just left about 10 minutes ago, so we're in good shape.
Are they done?
They're done.
Right.
They're done. Hi, Brewster. It doesn't look like you are on your way to Miami, or is this a?
No, yeah, exactly. I didn't tell you, but I ended up getting one on Thursday of last week at the Miami Zoo.
And did a veterinarian give you the a shot, or was it a nurse?
I don't know, just a guy, nurse.
No.
Yeah. Did you get a veterinarian giving you a shot?
Well, I was not at a zoo. You know, you were at a zoo. You know, I got mine at Walgreens.
So are we talking about rabies, or are we talking about COVID?
I'm sure I need both.
I need a rabies.
All right.
Well, I'm set up for my COVID tomorrow, so I'm excited.
Where are you gonna get it?
At a Walgreens. They opened up Saturday morning, and my wife caught it because didn't catch the vaccine. Saw that they had some openings, and then somebody tells a friend, they tell two friends, and within 10 minutes, everything gets locked up. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's been taking us a dog's age to get it. But hi, Janet.
Hi, Janet.
Hi.
We'll see how many people show up, Janet. We'll have anywhere from 15 to 5 people. That's what we have online right now. So I think we should have a few more.
Okay.
Our river is rising, so maybe people are getting ready. That's what I had to do this morning also, is empty out my boathouse and bring all my equipment up. And
yeah,
I saw the pictures. Wow.
Yeah, they think they're going to try to run the Jenny Ann Ferry this afternoon, and then after that it'll probably shut down. That's what I was just told. So
water. There's still a lot of water.
Well, it'd be a good time to paddle the Ohio, David. We go very fast. Make good time.
I'm actually going this afternoon.
Ah, great.
In Louisville, is running 4 miles an hour. Well, 3.99.
Wow. Above
the dam. So we just go from my house down to the dam. About 12 miles, 13 miles.
Wow, it'd be ripping.
So as soon as I finish this call, I'm off to the river.
Cool.
be careful.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, Brew. I thought you were supposed to get your shot today.
Yeah, I ended up getting one on Thursday.
Oh, good for you.
So I was supposed to be in Miami today, but I had to drive to the Miami Zoo 2.5 hours up and 2.5 hours back. But it was no problem. There's no lines. Unbelievable. You just drive up and go through the line, stay in your car. They shoot you in your arm and you wait 15 minutes and go.
Great. I've got my appointment in 2 weeks.
All right. Hey, Russ.
Hi.
Well, we have a few more people joining us. We might start just a minute late, unless if there's somebody who has an update they want to take up the time. Anything else on the agenda? You know, at one time, we have another meeting that we do for the Ohio River Basin Plan. And one of the things we do with that is we have a person each month give a sort of 15-minute, more in-depth discussion around a topic. I was thinking maybe in future meetings of the Ohio River Recreation Trail, we could get people like Janet to give us a good overview of Augusta and what their thoughts are, and each month do a different river town that we could then, learn more about.
Who do you want? So you'll go outside? You'll go out?
I'm sorry, what? What do you think of that, Brewster or Jack or anybody else?
I think it's a great idea. I'd love to hear from Janet. She sent an amazing email about all the things that are popping up there. Oh my God, it's great.
Did you see that email?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it again though.
So, Janet, before we get off of this idea, would you be willing to do something like that for our next meeting, which was the first Monday in April?
Yes, I'd be glad to do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think that would just be you're starting a good tradition. Well, we have, it's 12:03 and would like to get started. And I sent around the agenda earlier. Are there any comments on it? First thing is a roll call, and we're just going to start up here in the top left. And just to let everybody know, I am recording this. And so in addition to introducing yourself, say, I put down here a celebration and/or event. And this came from Brewster's idea because he just got so excited about New Richmond and some of the progress that they're working on there. So we just want to sort of go quickly around and introduce ourselves and say one celebration or one thought. And we're going to start off with you, Brewster.
Well, I have more than one to say, of course, but I can save them for later. But in terms of New Richmond, I think we all know that the Showboat Majestic is now there and for a 10-year lease for them to use it for performances and perhaps as a offloading dock for the big river boats going through. So it's a huge, big deal for them. Very exciting.
Janet, you're up next. Who are you, Janet?
I'm Janet Hunt. I'm the tourism director for Augusta and Bracken County. Augusta's right here on the river of Ohio River, and it looks like April the 1st, we have the Beehive opening, and along with a lot of our other shops like Nina Cleaning. And April the 17th, hopefully, we will have our first event. Back to the 50s, Girls' Day Out. So.
All right, Jack.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome, Janet. Nice to have you with us today. I'm Jack Sutton, one of the 3 co-chairs for the Ohio River Recreation Trail, and I represent Indiana. I actually live in Aurora, Indiana. So I guess one celebration I'm looking forward to, and this a shout out to Brewster, is Paddle Fest this summer. So I'm hoping to volunteer and help pull some paddlers out of the river come the first weekend in August.
Thanks, Jack.
Russ Clark.
Good afternoon. I'm Russ Clark, the National Park Service Rivers, Trails, and Conservation System Program. I guess an event coming up that I want to make sure everybody's aware of. West Point's going to be hosting a 4-project event, October 2nd and 3rd, that will feature the John Muir Legacy Trail. It will feature the Lewis and Clark Trail, the Ohio River Recreation Trail, and the Underground Railroad Trail at this event.
That's item number, let's see, 8 or 9.
Correct.
David Rudder, or David Hudson, sorry, David Hudson, you're on.
There we go, I was on mute. Hi everyone, Dave Hudson. Just looking forward to getting our Voyager canoes back in the water this year. That's if we can get the river levels to cooperate and the COVID to cooperate, I'm looking forward to getting people out on the water this year.
Another thing about David Hudson is he just competed in a wonderful state canoe race on the Elkhorn River, which is the last time that they have to worry about a low head dam. So maybe in the mid 1800s, this dam was built and they're removing it this week. And so it's one of those interesting deals. They say in Indiana, low head dams are the #1 reason for accidents in canoeing. Andrea Ireland.
Hello, I'm Andrea Ireland. I'm with the Rivers Trails Conservation Assistance Program in the Ohio Field Office. Events that I'm looking forward to are spring and the return of green and warmth and getting outside and being in my kayak. Yeah, hopefully down there.
Perfect.
Right?
David Rudder.
You're not getting outside in the snow? David Rudder, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Regional Council of Governments. I have been getting out, so I ski in the wintertime, and so I also serve on ski patrol at Perfect North, so I'm out a lot. And Andrea, your name came up in 2 presentations last week. So Ohio's Clean Marinas program, I presented on the Ohio River Recreation Trail Digital Guide. And we also had folks presenting on the Cuyahoga the Cuyahoga River Water Trail. And so Andrea.
I heard, I got several emails about your digital guide from my Cuyahoga Water Trail cohorts. I was supposed to present for that and I just couldn't because it was really short notice that they called me on. But they all want to do a digital guide now. I told them they need to get a David Rudder and an OKI.
Well, I wish I could take credit for being the one to develop the whole thing. I mean, I'm the point of contact certainly, but Brandon Flessner is the one that built it. So
okay, then they need a Brandon and a David.
Jerry Schulte.
Why, good morning, everybody. And is that the Cuyahoga River Trail? Is that Flaming River Trail? Is that the one I hear about? Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
night paddles. It's pre-lit.
Yeah, really. Thank you. Two celebrations on this end. Number one, we have the first flood event going on for the river for the year. So that means the river and the whole system is still working the way it's supposed to. So that's great. The other celebration is something I've been working on this morning a little bit, which is that they didn't drop the entirety of that smokestack from the Beckjord power plant into the Ohio River, just a part of it. Information I have garnered is that it was actually supposed to drop on land. It was not supposed to be dropped in a river, but it wound up going in the river. So I've been looking into that a little bit, see who the permitting agency is and all that. Apparently it rests with the Corps. David, do you know a Todd Hageman at the Corps there in Louisville?
No.
All right. Well, apparently he's the one that's working on the permit for the removal of that material. Those of you that have been around the river, you remember 1996, they dropped an entire, I think it was about an 800-foot smokestack in the Ohio River from that particular plant because it developed a big crack in it. And all of that was removed at the time. So I'm sure this will be removed as well. Just following up to be able to tell folks, what's actually going to happen with it, because there is a lot of concern.
Interestingly, it's in New Richmond, which was one of our first Rivertown reviews.
Exactly.
Actually, part of the plant is in New Richmond. Part of it is maybe in an unincorporated section. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, they did test the whole stack for asbestos before they took it down. So, and it did pass all the asbestos tests, so that wasn't an issue. And other than that, it doesn't appear to be much of an issue other than a bunch of concrete and brick. But they will be removing it.
Richard Harrison with Orsenko. Great to see everyone. Great to see you, Janet. My grandparents actually grew up in Augusta. So I've been there a few times. It's a lovely town, great river town. And I guess from a kind of a neat item at our last commission meeting, one of our scientists, Danny Cleaves, who several of you know, he's helping work with the fishing aspect of the trail, did a presentation on a trends report he did on PCBs. And he went back 30 years of Orsenko data and preliminary numbers show that there's been a dramatic reduction in PCBs in fish tissue. I'm promoting with my staff, really doing a lot of trends work every year just to show how the river is improving, or if it's not, show that as well. But that was good news.
All right, Joe Kinman.
Hello, everyone. Joe Kinman here from Louisville. My celebration is I'm going to turn 60 this week, which makes me eligible to get my COVID shot. So I'm looking forward to that.
Welcome. We need another older gentleman on this committee. We have one other guest on here.
It's Brewster Miller. I'm under the I-27862 number, and I'm excited because I've recently been working with Aaron Howard from Riverworks Discovery, who is helping me out with OKI or Senko and a bunch of other people that she knows to get more antenna partners along the river. And she's been doing a great job of that. And hopefully here in the next few weeks, we should have maybe an additional, I'd say 5 antennas in where the digital guide is that region of interest there. So excited to give out that news.
Orsenko has agreed to have one added at its building, our building.
Yeah, I'll be having a meeting with David Bailey from Orsenko later this week.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, that's great. Yeah. That's great. It's an important infrastructure. Let's just jump right into our, is there anybody else?
David, could I ask a follow-up question, Brewster Miller, on that?
Sure.
So in having more antennas, what does that do for our data set? Does that give us better coverage, more accurate coverage?
More accurate, more real-time coverage. So currently at the moment, I mean, we have a pretty big gap there from California to Portsmouth. I've had antennas there, but the antenna partners are not as, I guess you could say, reliable as some others. So I'm helping to get, businesses antennas that would really benefit their business since they would get access to the product, and trying to grow it that way.
Okay.
Maybe you might want to talk with Janet Hunt there in Augusta, because there's several businesses right on the river there. And so you might want to follow up with her afterwards. I want to jump right in, if it's okay, with Jack and Andrea and our long-term strategic planning and charter development.
Thank you, David. Andrea, I'll go first, and you can clean up whatever I miss. How about that? So Andrea and I have been working on the agenda for our next strategic planning session. And the first question for the group today is the date that would work best for each of you. So we're looking at 2 or 3 weeks out, either Monday, March 15th from 12 to 2, or Monday, March 22nd from 12 to 2. So before we end, I'd like to kind of pick one of those dates if that works. What we plan to do during that session is follow up on the vision and mission statements that our subcommittee submitted to us. They also submitted 7 really key goals with some strategies attached to those goals. So probably half of the session at least would be kind of drilling down on that, validating that, approving those items, hopefully. And then Andrea and I are still working on the remainder of the agenda to drill down on some modules that the National Park Service offers to help collaborative groups hone in on their strategic planning. So today's action is really to pick that date, either the 15th or the 22nd. Hopefully that can work. And we're thinking 12 to 2. Any thoughts, feedback from folks? Is that great? Is that bad?
Jack, they're putting responses in the chat. And so we'll be able to sort of tally those up a bit. Is there any homework you want us as a committee or as members or interested people to think about between now and then?
Yes, we'll have, once we kind of iron out our agenda, I'll put an email out for the agenda and things to look at, things to think about, feedback to be prepared to provide during the meeting.
it looks like most people are good both dates. I'm good on the 15th. So if other people want to add in this, go for it. And
That's great. I think we'll go with the 15th. If it looks like that works for most everybody.
What time on the 15th were you looking at again?
12 to 2. So it'll be the same start time of 12, and hopefully people can hang around for 2 hours.
Okay, I might be a little late. I've got a meeting from 9 to 12 before that. We've lately been wrapping that one up early, but
okay.
The potential is that we go right up to 12.
Thank you.
Andrea, anything else to add to the mix?
No, Jack really covered it, and we are planning on meeting again on Thursday to go over what the details are, so that if there is homework or things for you to think about, that'll come out to you before the meeting. So
one good follow-up idea is for people to sort of snort around the internet and look at other trails and how they're managed. And you know, is it the Susquehanna? Is it the Great Miami? Is it the Mississippi River? There's a whole slew of them. Our friend here, Russ Clark, developed a nice little list of all of them in the Ohio River Basin. And so there's lots of options to look at. So put your thinking caps on, right?
Absolutely.
Any questions, any thoughts for Jack or Andrea?
Mr. Chairman, this is Richard. I called Jack, and in looking at our guide, we had a separate box for bicycles. I just gave Jack the thought that perhaps we could discuss having one for fishing and maybe one for hiking trails, just as an organizational structure rather than trying to fit fishing in with the paddling. So that's just a heads up.
Okay, I mean, for the digital guide to sort of add a piece into that, and then maybe even add a section on the website, you know, I think that'd be
yes,
a fascinating deal.
I mean, it could be turned on, but it could be separate. And Danny is working on that. He's done a little mock-up work on Markland with some fishing, and it just might make it go a little smoother so it doesn't get too busy.
Anything else for strategic planning? For thank you very much for your hard work. Rivertown Review, Russ and Andrea.
Great, I'll go first, and Andrea, you're kind of in cleanup spot today, I guess. So, fall reports, we're honing in on the final stretches for the New Richmond report that we're going to be sending out. We're working very hard at wrapping that one up. And we are now accumulating the data to insert into a report for Carrollton, for the Rising Sun in southern Indiana. And we're going to continue to try and work those reports out through the next month and a half of time. And we are looking ahead at spring for round 2 of Rivertown reviews. And we have Beebe and Lawrenceburg and Augusta in the queue, and I understand that West Point is in the process of submitting a request, but we'll be opening up to other communities if they want to submit a request for consideration in round 2. And it's our hope that we'll be able to do a 3rd round late summer leading into the Rivertown Summit in the fall for all the communities up and down the Ohio River corridor. And throughout this process, we're actually creating a set of documents that will identify how the Rivertown review process is done, what steps are required, what forms you need to fill out, what checklists you need to use to complete this process. So in the end, when we're done with this process in about a year's time, we will have a documented process that others can do the same thing for other communities up and down the river for Rivertown reviews. Andrew, you have anything you'd like to add?
Just that somebody mentioned the other day, I'm not sure if it was on a call with you, Russ, or maybe it was Jack, that last year at this time, Rivertown Review wasn't even on our radar. You know, we were planning on going to these communities and having at least meetings or having big group meetings and kind of dispersing this information to everyone. And it was a bit of a pivot to drill down to the communities. We still intended to do that in person, but I think that we did a good job of pivoting to being virtual, even though it's a lot of work. I think that the amount of work that we're putting into New Richmond right now is going to sustain us through the others. It's going to get easier because we're trying to do it right with New Richmond and then build upon that, rather than just throw out some information that we've accumulated, really trying to set up that kind of template and be certain that we have all the pieces that we want, because I think it's going to be a good ongoing sustainable program that the rest of you will carry on with after RTCA is no longer leading that part of the project. So when it comes time to really look at those documents when they get published, we will appreciate your feedback on that. Every step of the way, we're improving and trying to come out with a good product for that, an ongoing product.
And I would like to add, we're going to continue to reach out to the steering committee for assistance as we move forward with these Rivertown reviews, and ask the communities that we've worked with in the past to help us with other Rivertown reviews in the future. So as we go down the road, people can gain from the experience that others have gone through and understanding how this process can work.
Yeah, can we just see a show of hands? How many of you have participated in a Rivertown review? Okay, it's a good exercise, even if you aren't intimately involved with the town, to get an idea of what it is that we're trying to do and how it could apply to future towns or in future situations that aren't even related to ORRT. So I encourage you to jump in on one of those, and we can always use some help too.
You know, one of the exciting things to me is that Derek, with the Lewis and Clark experience, talked the other day about having the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail adopt the Rivertown review process for all the way out to the Pacific Ocean. So I think when Andrea and Russ mentioned that they're developing the protocols for doing this research in a short-term fashion that has real impact, I think is a fascinating initiative, and it'd be great if the National Park Service adopts our model.
I'll need to buy an airplane so you guys can fly around to all these Rivertown reviews. Hey, Francis just joined us there, David.
Hi, Francis.
Hey, gang.
Maybe we get royalties off of your book from now on, you know? Who knows what we can share. Any comments, any thoughts? I really like the idea of having people from individual towns, from Carrollton going to Augusta, or from Augusta down to Lawrenceburg, and sort of taking that collegial look, I think would be is a fascinating process.
The other thing that we talked about too as we move forward is the idea of having somebody, the contact from the community that is going to receive the Rivertown review, to be involved in the pre-meetings rather than just showing up the day of, that they would be involved so they know what's at stake, what's expected, and can help to guide that conversation. And then also to put in our recommendations or qualifications in applying for the RTR, that they would commit to having an elected official there. Because we saw in the communities where we had the mayor or a county commissioner, that was very important to what could happen, or the degree of support or advocacy that we get out of any community.
maybe what we could do, instead of making it sort of a requirement, we could just say the community meeting should be scheduled around the availability of the mayor and the county judge. And that way we're inviting them, and, you know, we don't want to put too many rules, but that's what we really want. We want to, you know, and it could be around, we could even say the elected officials, you know, it depends on, I think having council people, you know, in Louisville, we have Metro Council. They're just as important as the mayor sometimes. Any other comments? Jack, Brewster, you, just to let everybody know, Brewster has agreed to be a coordinator, advocate, lead for Augusta. I am going to be working with Vivi, and Jack is going to be working with Lawrenceburg, Dearborn County.
Yeah, I'll just, I know some folks said they would help do the desktop reviews and other things. So look for an email from me in the next couple of weeks, recruiting volunteers to help us with the Dearborn County, Aurora, Lawrenceburg application. Thank you.
And I've reached out to Jody Robinson. She wasn't able to be on the call today to see if she would join with me, Janet, and working with you. Jody's from Bellevue and is very excited about this work, and I think she'll be a great asset working with me, with you. Okay. Good.
We also want to thank two people who are working with Andrea and Russ. They're sort of the front people, but there's two women who work behind the scenes, Helen and Faith, who really just do a great job. You know, they are persistent and articulate, and so we just want to thank the National Park Service tremendously for their help.
Yes, and thank you, David, for remembering them when Russ and I didn't.
Well, I've been communicating, I've been downloading. Faith asked for documents and you know, and she said, and other pertinent material, and didn't really say what, so I have filled Faith's email box full of stuff. Okay, we want to move on. Jerry Schulte did a, you know, our next thing is called Recreation Safety on the Ohio. And we just wanted to have a short discussion and celebrate the success that Jerry put together this wonderful webinar with working through FOR and Orsenko. And Jerry, any comments on it? And I put down a couple things underneath there.
Oh, no, not really. I mean, my thanks to everybody that helped in that effort. My other presenters, they all did a great job. You know, Brendel, Lieutenant Commander Brendel, I mean, is always excellent to work with. And by the way, he'll be, I don't know if I mentioned it, he'll be rotating out this summer. So we will be unfortunately losing him. So we will be required here in Cincinnati to make liaison with a new commander of the port here. So he'll definitely be a loss, but I mean, they always send top-notch people to us. So just look forward to forging a new relationship as it comes by. Nadina, who is our safety director for Paddle Fest, she just did an outstanding job as always in her presentation. And then we also had Lisa from the Corps presenting as well. So I mean, it all went very well. We had 132, I want to say, participants in that event. And yeah, I think we got we had a lot of good representation from, I believe, pretty wide area across the country. So yeah, it was a great opportunity to get our program out there. So thank you.
How did the platform work for everyone from a viewing standpoint? Did it work okay? The GoToMeeting platform?
Yeah, it did. And again, thank you, Richard, you know, and Orsenko for hosting that and getting that put together for us. Greatly appreciated. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, nobody had any problem on the presenter end anyway. And it all seemed to work very seamlessly. So yeah, and Heather she did a marvelous job putting it together, as well as Lisa Cochran of Orsenko staff. So yeah, they did a great job.
As Jerry knows, it was all Heather and Lisa and Adam. They had a practice session, and did some what ifs, what if this happens or that. So that's great. I'm glad it worked out.
And Richard, Lisa was just excellent as a moderator. She's really
She
good.
was.
She's
She
really
was.
good. I mean, that
Yeah,
just
does a great
shows
job.
the depth of your staff. Jeez.
Yeah. No, it's
A
they
couple
wear
of
a lot of hats.
questions. A couple questions, and is about the copy of the video. We would like to get that, and I just have to get with Heather because we'd like to put them up on the web page. We have all of our past webinars, and so Jerry, I'm not sure if you've heard about if there's been a YouTube version made.
I have not. Richard, I can touch base with Lisa if you want me to.
But please do, and I think they could easily do that. Jerry, one thought I had now I know from a liability standpoint, you're probably reluctant. I know you did the safety brochure. I kind of you bounce that off of our staff, but there were some elements of that would work perfectly in a one pager or a two pager. Just checklist for before you launch your canoe or your kayak. I just wondered how hard that would be to put those in something that we could put on our website. That might be more user friendly than watching the video. And I know there's liability with that, but I just plant that seed.
Yeah.
Well,
there is a list on the page in the digital guide.
Good.
Or no, Good. Is it digital guide, David, or is it on the?
No, it's a separate tab. Miriam made a separate tab for safety, and there is a checklist there, and there's
a checklist, right?
And there eventually will be a video about lock safety featuring Meldal Dam.
There's a wealth of knowledge on that.
But Richard, you raise a good point. I mean, if we had some money, and it wouldn't take much, to develop a very short, one-page, two-sided brochure that folds down for all the marinas, the fuel docks.
Well, here is a idea, Brewster. I did follow up with a man named Paul. I'll get his last name. He actually called me because I raised the issue about understanding accidents on the Ohio River and documenting them. And the commander sent me down to a guy in New Orleans, which I had a very nice phone call conversation. And he has something to do with river safety with the Coast Guard. And so he's working now to compile a list of accidents on the Ohio River. And is going to think about how they can make that more automated to search by river. Right now, it's all searching by state. But he offered that if we're interested, he would help us design signage and/or brochures for river access points on the river. And so if we wanted to identify 10 to 12, whatever, busy boat ramps on the Ohio River Recreation Trail, he would help design them, and then he'll help. He made suggestions of talking to the people who have the barge companies, and he's had good luck with them paying for signage and brochures on other rivers.
Well, I think we ought to flag this for our strategic discussion, because this is a wonderful implementation initiative. I mean, it's something that we could take an initiative on that could be developed. I mean, I would love to see this happen in concert with ODNR, Indiana Natural Resources, as well as Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, so they're all engaged with it. And ideally, having one sign, Corps of Engineers, maybe the Coast Guard on it, with a URL link or whatever it is, like one of those codes, so that people can, on their phone, access the digital guide. I mean, it's a great discussion. So,
Jerry, is that accurate? You know Paul. What does he do?
I worked with him a little bit. I don't know him that well. My understanding is he has something to do with the recreational uses of the waterways, and kind of the liaison, if you will, for the Coast Guard is in recreational, I don't know about law enforcement, but recreational issues. So yeah, that's my understanding. I've talked with him a couple of times. He's a great guy to work with. And yeah, we can continue the dialogue. I know he wanted to work with contacts, and Brew, you and I talked about this a little bit. as far as the maybe the boating law enforcement administrator for Ohio, the contact there, I believe you know her maybe, or somebody like that. You could shoot that to me so we can get that to Paul.
Yep, Pam Dillon used to be.
Pam Dillon.
Yeah, she's at the national office right now.
Okay.
Any other discussion around safety or, you know, once again, Jerry, you did a good job. It was great. The upcoming workshop is going to be featuring students from Thomas More University, University of Cincinnati, and U of L right now. And they're going to be forecasting what they see, what the future of the Ohio River is. And so they're all scientists, architects, or interdisciplinary master's or undergraduate degree folks. And they're going to read the Ohio River Basin Plan 2020 to 2025, and then pick apart parts of it and share their research, how it fits in, and say what the river will be like in 2050 when they're at the top of their career. And so I think that's April 25th, but no, March 25th, but I'll send out the date. University of Cincinnati has agreed to create the next flyer. And so their School of Architecture has some design crew that Heather's going to work with and design the flyer and hopefully get that out.
David, would there be any chance we could get somebody from Shawnee State up in Portsmouth involved?
Well, one of the ideas that we tried to do is to keep it to 3 presenters or 3 groups, because as soon as you get more, it turns into more Thomas More, because it could be Northern Kentucky, or, you know, the suggestion by John, who's at the University of Cincinnati, is maybe a group from upriver, from Pittsburgh and from Parkersburg, could have another session like this. It could even be, there's even a university called Marshall University in Huntington that does something with a river.
Yes.
So anyway, that's the reason why they picked 3.
Okay. All right.
Any other discussions? If other people have ideas, there's a group talking about a historical piece. Heather Mayfield is the coordinator of it. She is responsive with her emails. Anything else? Okay, we want to moving along. Just to let everybody know, I sent out a copy to everybody about our continuation request. I think in retrospect, it is an okay letter. I read the email from Brad Colette and their report on the Tennessee River line. And here we produce a letter, 2-page letter describing our accomplishments and what our projects are. And Brad Colette with the Tennessee River line creates this final report that's like 12 pages and beautifully laid out, and on and on and on. And so we do have a little work to do, especially in our presentation and report development. But
yeah, but we have a digital guide that you just link to online, and it's.
And when you get that level of staff, David, let us know. We'll be glad to produce those types of things.
But it does lay out that letter. The reason why I wanted to bring it up again is that it does lay out several objectives for this next year. And so this work with Andrea and Jack is going to blend those together, because not everything that the ORRT does has to involve NPS. And I think they would prefer it even if we wean ourselves off of them a little more.
No, not that.
The next item here is any questions, any thoughts about this letter? Okay, new partners, open discussion about partners. And Brewster, you're on.
Well, we do have a few new partners since our last meeting. Human Nature, a landscape architecture firm that designs all the trails in the region of Greater Cincinnati. Northern Kentucky. Discover Claremont, the countywide travel and tourism entity. And I think we knew about Riverworks Discovery joined us recently as well. City of West Point and Main Street Madison. So they're the ones that joined in the last 6 or 7 weeks, or 8 weeks, I guess. So we're up to 55 partner organizations, and there's another 15 that I think we can go after. They're low-lying fruit, and I just need to focus on inviting them to join us officially. And then it raises the broader question about how we treat these folks in a way that recognizes that we recognize them as being official partners with us. So maybe some special communications that go to the key point person for each of these partner organizations. And so we need to develop that. That's all.
Brewster, I know the emails that were going back and forth with what is it, Paddle Perry or
Yes,
Perry
correct.
Paddle and all, and I know you had sent them the links to add points, and I did go in before the meeting.
You're on mute, David.
You went to mute. Now you're up.
All right, I was using the space bar, but as soon as you take the pointer off and click on something else, you're no longer active in the Zoom thing. And it went back to mute. What I was saying was I went on before the meeting and checked to see if there were any new points that had been added in, expecting some from the Paddle Perry folks, and it doesn't appear that they've added anything in.
Okay.
On a suggested. There's 3 or 4 up and down the river, including one in Augusta. That's the South Bank Station was added in to that. So we've got to go in and review the data a little more closely. We'll get those pushed out on the guide. So that does bring in that conversation. I've begun starting conversations about what it would take to expand the guide the entire length of the river. Brewster Miller and I are meeting later this week to talk about the AIS data and what it would take to get the AIS for the entire length of the river and what's available and with that. So those conversations are happening, and that's part of the ORRT effort. But it does, that group is looking at the digital guide as the basis for the main stem of the Ohio River for doing that. So
We just want to thank Brewster Miller's on the phone. So even though this is about partners, maybe we should think about having our first corporate partner, which we do not have. And so maybe we could get Brewster Miller to think about what that might mean to have a corporate partner.
Yeah,
Brewster.
I'd be happy to do that. Absolutely. Can people hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
We heard your commitment. That's great.
Yeah, I can see what I can do about getting a corporate partner here with Wood Mackenzie. We were formerly Ginscape, and I kind of work under all 3 names of Wood Mackenzie, Ginscape, and Vessel Tracker. But yeah, I'd be happy to talk with them and see what we could do about getting more corporate sponsorship from them.
And I think we might want to make a distinction between partner organizations and communities on the one hand, and then our business partners, and separate them out on the website, because I think we have potential to grow that business partnership. We already have, 5 or 6, but much bigger, because you can think of all the entities. Richard, think about this. Jerry, others of you, Jack. think of all the companies that have an. It can be canoe liveries. It can be barge companies, right? Car repair. We should talk about. No, it can be like BB River boats, which we don't have yet. So anybody who has a business that connects to the river, we can go after as a business partner, and ultimately we can have a discussion, about how we go after them for financial support as well.
Well, let's get the Coast Guard involved in our first partner initiative, building signs and having the Coast Guard help us raise money to install signs at every boat ramp.
Right.
Just a thought. I think that discussion for partners really leads a lot towards Jack's and Andrea's committee of where that fits into the structure and how we go forward and everything else. So Jack and Andrea, you have your work cut out for you.
Yeah, I would, that is the type of thing we want to drill down on. So these are great creative ideas. We need somebody or a subcommittee to own these ideas and kind of push them forward, I think, rather than sort of the committee of the whole. So I think those are the kind of things we'll want to talk more about during the next session and then probably the following session after that.
And Jack, I'll take the leadership on the partner piece.
Well, to me, that we've got a committee that's community outreach and activities, and maybe it falls within that existing committee.
Excellent.
Something to think about.
Excellent.
Brewster Miller, we have maybe we call it the Brewster and Brewster committee. You know,
B&B.
B&B.
I'm good with that.
Brewster squared.
It's officially noted in the minutes. Anything else on partners? Brewster met a wonderful guy named Ryan Dobie, who I have reviewed his videos. And if you've not looked at his overall website, he's an international guy who is in, it seems like to me, tourism business, a promotion of international tourism destinations. I don't know his whole business background, but he's made 3 very good videos on the Ohio River. One featuring the islands in the Ohio River National Wildlife Refuge of let's see, Manchester Islands. And he's offered through Brewster to help us do something. And so I just wanted to have a discussion, and I put the videos down there. And Brewster, any other comments, thoughts?
Well, here's the guy lives in Cleveland. He's I don't know, he's in his mid 30s, I think, or late 30s. He's the either CFO or COO of Avery Labels. I mean, it's a Fortune 500 company, right? I checked it out on his LinkedIn page. But he happens to have family who have a camp on the Ohio near Manchester. And you can see that in his video where he starts and takes, returns with his drone. It's a trail or a nice site there overlooking the river. So he gets down to that part of the state 3 or 4 times a year. And he's also trying to develop this drone business on the side. This is a side business. And he would love to volunteer, made it very, very clear as volunteer to do drone video work for us. And I said, listen, what if we gave you 2 or 3 or 4 communities along the Ohio and asked you to spend half a day in each one of them over the next, 4 or 5 months, capture drone video that then can be made available with a disclaimer that, there's no obligation, whatever, but to the communities. Like, imagine if we could do that for Augusta. And very powerful, very high digital quality drone video footage that he could put into a little video with music. He would edit the whole thing and give it to you, Janet, to use. And then maybe you and he can communicate about whatever signage or logos are attached and titles to it, but it can become a marketing tool for you, thanks to the Ohio River Recreation Trails connections, right? But imagine if we had high quality video for each of our major river towns. I don't think he's willing to go to Louisville to do it, but if I think he can do New Richmond, he can do Ripley, maybe Moscow, certainly Portsmouth, Vanceburg, Augusta, Maysville. So that's it's a fun thing for him to do, to get away for part of the day when he's spending the whole weekend with his relatives. He'll probably like that opportunity, right? Take the ferry over to Augusta for half a day. Okay, so that's the bottom line. No obligation financially, but just another example of somebody who, like, I happened to see his video online, sent him an email and connected with them, and he's like so into it. It's great.
Cool.
Yeah, and the other interesting piece is he posts them internationally. So
That's
it's
right.
really quite a large following. And so all of a sudden it's promoting the Ohio River Recreation Trail internationally, which is sort of interesting.
Good point.
I like to highlight the Ohio River. Any other discussion?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Janet.
Can I give you a date June the 18th, we had the American Duchess visiting Augusta. So maybe he can get a drone video of that coming up the river.
What day is that
June the 18th.
of the week, do you know?
It's on a Friday.
Okay, well, that increases the chances. I mean, he does have a regular job, but if we can
Oh,
tell
does
him, plan to take a vacation day on Friday, leave Thursday, be down there, be over your place in plenty of time to have it. Oh, that'd be powerful. Wouldn't that be great? Now, think about this. If it is coming up the river, he's probably going to be stopping in Cincinnati. I mean, the Duchess or Portsmouth. I don't know, you know?
Yes, yes. They will be going toward Portsmouth and
Okay.
then coming back down probably a few days later. So.
Well, just capturing that video, of, that is so wonderful. Thanks for letting me know. I'll let him know.
Okay.
It'd be neat if we gave the Ohio River digital guide to each one of the passengers of that ship. In that way, they could explore the community as they're going by.
I love it.
And, you know, talk about a partnership, you know, let's figure out the cruise lines. Anything
Brilliant.
else on that? Russ, I'm fascinated with the other work you do in this communities along the Ohio River, and I've just listed down 2 of them. And then I would like you just to mention this FLAP program, which maybe I'm just overexcited about, but it's just interesting. So Russ, any other comments, or Andrea, anything else from RTCA that we want to make sure we do? And that blends into number 9 with this joint festival.
I'd just like to give a quick update that it appears that right now, everything on the horizon for me is involved with the Ohio River in terms of work. And I have the current project with the John Muir Trail, which starts in West Point and goes through Kentucky on down toward the Gulf, following John Muir's 1,000-mile walk to the Gulf. And that project is working on a first phase, trying to get connectivity from Louisville down to Elizabethtown. Coming into new projects, applications, I have received the application from the Boone County Conservancy to assist the county-wide effort in looking at recreation venue and conservancy objectives and creating opportunities where additional access to the river may be through utilizing conservation conservancy efforts. And that application has been received as of today. And as of today, I've received an application for Warriors Path, which starts at Cumberland Gap, Kentucky, down at Tennessee, Kentucky border, goes up through 17 counties in the Appalachian area of Kentucky and ends at Portsmouth, Ohio. And that particular project we've been doing as a consultation for the past few months. And we have been doing virtual meetings. We now have 6 very active committees moving forward. And we have 106 on the mailing list in that corridor, all actively involved in trying to promote this vision moving forward. So it's my hope that those 2 projects will be approved, all tying into the Ohio River Recreation Trail. And the other aspect that I mentioned earlier, the event coming up in October 2nd and 3rd, is trying to highlight all the projects that kind of convene there in West Point, being the Lewis and Clark Trail, the Ohio River Recreation Trail, the John Muir Legacy Trail, and the Underground Railroad. And there's going to be a 2-day event of activities as well as hiking, paddling, horseback riding, all involved with those 2 days. So it appears Kentucky is going to keep me very busy and very related to the Ohio River for the next year.
We appreciate it. Andrea, any updates for you for RTCA for us?
No, today is the deadline for new project applications. So sometimes there are some surprises that come in at the last minute that we don't know about that get sent to our program leaders. But I will be working on the Align Southern Indiana, which are 5 counties across the river from Louisville. I've been doing some consultation work with them the past few months. They will become a project looking at a regional trails plan for that 5-county region. So that will tie into the ORRT. Obviously, you folks are really generating a lot of business for us, so that's good. Keeps us employed. And then I think other projects are further away from the river that I will be working on. So.
And how about the FLAP program? Is this something to get excited about? Just to give everybody a little bit of background, Victor Elam got $1 million from the FLAP program for building 2 boat ramps upstream of our area for the islands in the Ohio River National Wildlife Refuge. And Russ has sent out a variety of information around it, which it seems like there's a fair amount of money in it.
I mean, I think that the FLAP program has been around for a while to varying degrees. Some years it's well funded and some years there's no money on the table. I think it depends on your project, and the political will behind it can be very influential as to how those grants are awarded. I think if you had something specific in mind, I mean, FLAP stands for Federal Land Access Program. So it is a conversion of federal properties to different uses. Excuse me. For instance, we have an arsenal near us that it's often been thought that it could have been converted to public lands or park property, and that hasn't happened yet, but that's the type of example that could be.
See, I sent all those notices to Jack Moreland on the other side of Cincinnati, because there's a lock house in 19 acres, a historic lock house run by the federal government that's for sale right now. And so he's following up on that whole feasibility of having a boat ramp. Well, he retired this week, and so he's forwarding it to somebody to talk through that whole process, and it would be neat to have a 19-acre old lock house right there on the other side of Cincinnati. So yeah, that FLAP program's fascinating. I just one quick question for that, and that is the National Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail is a federal park program on the Ohio River. Does that imply that the FLAP funds can be used anywhere up and down the Ohio River, as it's providing access to the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail?
I don't think it works that way. I mean, it's more of a program to take underutilized properties and put them to a higher use or a better use or a different use.
Like the Ohio?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
There's an example that my former co-worker did in Santa Claus, Indiana. I'll have to pull it up and see what it was, but it had to do with a trail and I believe a bridge that they used the FLAP program to get some funding to use that for a trail. So.
Well, why, thank you, Andy, very much. That's the last of our item. Just one more thing that I wanted to bring up. Chris Lawrence at Thomas More University has taken on the job of rewriting the old 1990s article on the valuation of the Ohio River, trying to go through and to quantify what the Ohio River is valued at. And so all of the economic aspects, the future development of it, he has a team of 9 different universities, I think, that are working with him to compile all of this data and then to produce some sort of nice article at the end of it. If you're interested in the original one, I have copies of it, and it's fascinating. The recreation piece purely focuses on big cruise lines on the Ohio River. It doesn't mention anything else, no marinas. It's all, but anyway, he asked me if we know of any reports around the economic impact of recreation from parks, economic impact of recreation for fishing, so he's doing an all call for any recreationally related economic research in the Ohio River Basin. He wants it pretty much focused on the Ohio River Basin. So if anybody knows of any articles, certainly, or reports or individuals who want to take part in this, my interest is recreation, but he's doing all of it.
So David, I've got a question. At Great Parks, probably in 2016, we hired the University of Cincinnati and did an economic impact statement on the park district. So I could make
That
sure
would
Chris
be perfect.
copy of that. Okay.
I think that just send it to Chris. He's like I sent, we have a guy over in Southern Indiana who's developing a new park. And he's done all the economic aspects of developing a new park. So Scott Martin is sending all that stuff up to him. So,
and I'll get him something from Little Miami.
I want to say, if you're talking the whole basin, Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, 5-6 years ago, did an analysis on the economic impact of, they were looking at multi-purpose trails primarily. They weren't really looking at the water side of things, but if that's the kind of information he's looking for.
Well, if you don't mind forwarding it to Chris, that'd be great, or forwarding it to me.
I'd have to ask for it. I don't have it.
It's they created a new national park in the New River. So somebody must have done some background information on creating a new national park, or maybe it was just a West Virginia senator who needed to get bought, said, oh, we'll create a national park here, and they did. So maybe there was no back. Yes, Brewster.
Before we end, could I just run down a couple of developments that people may not be aware of about some of the river towns that I've come to learn in the last few weeks?
Go for it.
Just to show this incredible momentum of stuff that's happening, some of which we had something to do with, some of which we didn't. But Portsmouth, talked to a guy, he's a lawyer up there. He's going to open up a canoe livery and a campground at the mouth of the Scioto and the Ohio. It will become the first, and at this point only, canoe livery adjacent to the Ohio River. Okay, it's really exciting. Secondly, we got an incredible report, and we'll get more next month from you, Janet, about what is popping in Augusta. It's amazing, that long list you sent us. So let's flag that for next week. Ripley, in this end of December, beginning of January, got notified they got a $425,000 grant from the Ohio Capital Bill allocation to build their Freedom Landing boat dock, which allows them to take the big boats and have them actually offload people in Ripley to then take access to particularly Underground Railroad stuff. But they are just thrilled. And as you recall, we sent a letter of support to the legislature last fall about that, last summer, maybe more than a year ago about that, along with a similar request by New Richmond, which did not get their money. But New Richmond, I told you about the showboat being there. Just a week and a half ago, the new owners of the restaurant next to the ferry dock, this ferry ramp, the Landing, announced they are reopening. That building was sold. And there's a new restaurant that will be in place come June. That's exciting. There's another restaurant that's talking about opening up in town. They are on fire in New Richmond. There's like hundreds and hundreds of comments on the community Facebook page about all the exciting developments. We are moving very quickly in Cincinnati to have finally the city marina reestablished, with the moving most likely of the Queen City Riverboat Complex across the river from Dayton, Kentucky over to the public landing, working with the park board to make that happen. And this entity will operate under a 20-year management agreement, so it won't cost the park board a dime, which is a super win-win. But that's huge for us, okay? Next, Boone County, you talked about the application, Russ. They are fired up. They have a Ohio River working group that's like 20 organizations. I've been involved in those conversations and had input into their application. So Boone County is on fire, and they have like 50 miles or whatever it is, I don't know, riverfront. So it's a big deal. Covington, they're putting the finishing touches on the riverfront redevelopment plan, which will take that festival park that they have. It will not include a boat ramp, but there will most likely be a public access ramp for canoes and kayaks built around the corner, right by the rowing center on the Licking. And I've been talking to those guys. This stuff is moving forward. It's great. Lawrenceburg, the Great Miami Riverway, Francis, is working closely with Oxbow to think through now, and it won't happen for another 6 years, plans for redevelopment of the coal plant that's there at the mouth of the Great Miami and the Licking, and the Ohio, and trying to develop an opportunity to think about that as a redevelopment site for a park recreation, but also a canoe and kayak put in at an access spot that you have to get to through their property to get into the Great Miami right there at the confluence. Madison, Indiana, just got named last week. I just posted on the Facebook page, or maybe you did, David, but that they were announced in one of these, internet publications as the #1 awesome or top small town in Indiana, and it talks all about the riverfront. So they were selected. One of these companies does these things just to get clicks, but it was great. And they also just announced a few weeks ago, David knows, a 1.5 acre park acquisition right along the riverfront to expand their trail system right downtown, and they also got approval, and they're moving ahead on redevelopment of their riverfront. It's just astounding what's going on there. And I think I'll stop. But that's just some of the stuff that I've become aware of that you all may already know about. All that stuff, I don't know. But I think the next email I want to do on our behalf to our network should include a rundown of some of these exciting developments by these river towns that other people may not be aware of. And I think it helps to build this idea that, hey, we're all in the same business. We can learn from each other. We can celebrate each other's wonderful initiatives. And it helps to build, I think, momentum for our summit in the fall.
And you want to make sure you include the River Heritage Conservancy in New Albany, Clarksville, and Jeffersonville. They've now bought 610 acres on the banks of the Ohio River and Silver Creek, and developing a brand new park that
right.
is.
So David, before you go, I think there needs to be a process, and what I'll do is send a note out to everybody and say, okay, here's what I have so far. What's missing? Can you please send me information that you may know about the additional Augusta, obviously, about Rising Sun and Aurora and Lawrenceburg and all these other communities, BB and et cetera, all the way down the line. Okay, and then you can add what you want me to put in there about what they're doing there. How about that?
Sure. Or Carrollton too.
Yep, exactly.
That'd be great. Any other open discussion? Thank you, Brewster. Any other thoughts for the good of the order? David Rudder, do you need any more help? Do you need anything for this digital guide? Do we need a little bookmark that we send out to every marina to say, digital guide is up and ready? How do we promote it for the boating season coming up?
That would be good to, if we can do that, certainly, especially if they're not on the guide. I think we've got all the marinas now on there. Although I get surprised again and again with somebody that says, well, we're behind this other one that you have. When you thought they were all maybe all one thing.
Well,
I don't know what that would be. I mean, how we would reach out in terms of contacting them all.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a great opportunity to do a road trip, like stopping like Pied Pipers in every community on both sides of the river, delivering our little promotional piece about the digital guide and maybe a poster for all the marinas and the fuel docks and all that.
Do you have somebody there in your business there of OKI that is graphically oriented?
Well, we do. I don't know that I'd get approval for using their time for this. Like I get to use my time, and maintenance of the digital guide gets put under our GIS budget. But
this is marketing for OKI.
Well,
if it's in our region, we might swing that, but putting a poster in Portsmouth, probably not going to do it. I just want to be realistic with you on the limits on I mean,
We do
Mark
not
has been
want to
extremely
overact,
supportive.
you know. We are very appreciative of OKI, but this might be a very good project for our first possible corporate sponsor or corporate partner, Gensky. Just a thought. But with that, if there's any other discussion, I'll certainly entertain it. Otherwise, I'm going canoeing on the Ohio River.
We don't want to stand in the way of that, David.
Good luck with that. Watch the flows.
Thank you all very much, and I look forward to these ideas. Once again, send anything to Chris Lawrence about economic stuff, and send any celebration of good work to Brewster.
Good deal.
Bye.
Absolutely.
Take care, everybody.
See ya.
Everybody take care.
Hi.
Bye now.
Thanks.